great writer and teacher and theologian, Parker Palmer, tells about a day like that he remembered, an extraordinary experience he had as a passenger on a plane that was to fly out of Denver. The plane had already pulled away from the gate. It had already taxied down the runway, and it had stopped on a remote corner of the airfield. Just stopped. The engines turned off. That's never a good sign. Then they heard it, the pilot's voice coming over the intercom. The pilot said, "I have some bad news and some really bad news. The bad news is that there's a storm front in the west. Denver is socked in and shut down. We've looked at all the alternatives and there are none. So we'll be staying here for a few hours." That's the bad news. The really bad news, he said, is that we have no food on board and it is lunchtime. You could hear everybody just groan in unison. Some started to complain, some became angry. But then one of the flight attendants did something truly amazing. She stood up, she took the microphone. This is what she said. "We're very sorry, folks. We didn't plan it this way and we can't do much about it. I know for some of you this is a really big deal. Some of you are very hungry and would like to eat. Some of you have a medical condition and really need lunch. Some of you may not care one way or the other, and for some of you it wouldn't hurt to skip a meal or two. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I have a couple of baskets up here, and we're going to pass them around, and I'm asking everybody to put something in the basket. Some of you probably brought a little snack along, maybe something to tide you over, peanut butter crackers, candy bars, lifesavers, maybe some mints or chewing gum. If you don't have anything edible, maybe you have a picture of your children or your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend or a bookmark or a business card or a postcard. Everybody put something in the basket, she said, and then we'll reverse the process. We'll pass the baskets around again, and everybody can take out what he or she needs. Palmer said what happened next was even more amazing. The griping suddenly stopped. People started digging around in their pockets and purses and backpacks and carry-on. Some even opened the suitcases they'd brought, taking them down from the luggage rack and digging out fine chocolates, salami, cheese, nuts, trail mix, all kinds of stuff. People were laughing, they were talking, they were up, walking around, learning names, making friends. In a single stroke, that flight attendant had transformed a bunch of whiny, grumpy, griping people into a celebration, a community of sharing. They'd been focused on their deprivation, what they didn't have, and had shifted into a focus on what they did have. After the flight, which finally did proceed, Palmer stopped off on his way off the plane to tell the flight attendant. He said, "Do you know there's a story in the Bible about what you just did back there, about Jesus feeding a lot of people with very little food?" She said, "Yes, I know that story. That's why I did what I did." And it changed the whole day. I doubt that any passenger on that plane will ever forget what happened that day. And let us not forget what Jesus did on that day long ago with those 5 little loaves and 2 fish, what he did before he shared them with all the people. Do you remember what he did before he shared it? He gave thanks. Go look in your New Testament. He gave thanks. And it changed not enough into more than enough. It changed that whole day. You know, gratitude can do that. It can make every day a Thanksgiving day.